Hi, my name is Maggie, and I'll be introducing you my second folio for character, place, and simulation. First, let me explain what my archival object is about. The archival object I made is a visual novel called The Pirate's Quest, which is set in a fantasy world that ties all the weekly produced objects together. The story follows a traveler called Will, who crashed his ship while traveling across the ocean, and woke up on a deserted, magical island that was once a prospering city. He was found by a pirate called Ella, who's been living on the island for a year ever since it changed. Ella has been well adapted to the strange new environment, but Will's coming brought her hope that the world out there might still be normal. She let Will rest at her house and proceeded to ask him for a favor before they head off the island together. She wanted to retrieve something from her old house, but she was too scared to go too deep into the woods. While Will set off to find the item for Ella, he encountered a series of magical creatures and started to believe that things once happened here was real, which also made him worry if his home was under the same situation. The design process of the story is a combination of the theme emerged in Folio 1 and the pirate character Ella I created in week 2. Initially, I wanted to write a fantasy story revolving around Ella, who stumbles upon a magic island and discovers some bizarre things. Later on, I decided to add another character, Will, who replaces Ella's role and change Ella's story into someone who's lived on this island for a while and is searching for civilization. In this way, the story will be told in a bystander's perspective, which I think will be more interesting. As for the making of the archival object, I decided to use the online graphic design app called Canvas to make my visual novel, because it's easy to navigate and it supports online viewing. I chose pixel art as the style for my archival object because most of my weekly objects are drawn in the same style. I then created all the art assets using the pixel art tool Sprite, including the background, terrain, characters, dialog box, and the key items that represent my weekly objects. The most significant change I made was the design of the character Will. First, I wanted his style to match Ella, so I drew him a black bowler hat, a vest, and a suitcase. Later, I decided to give him a regular, modern-day clothes to show the difference in dressing between him and Ella. In week 1, I did a pixel art drawing of a group of lizards in robes holding a secret meeting and performing a dark ritual ceremony. It becomes the second thing Will the Traveler encounters on his journey through the woods. I think it incorporates with the archival object really well because personification is often seen in fairy tales to reflect the animal's intelligence and emotions. By not showing their faces, it adds more mystery to their identity and reasons for Will to wonder why this is happening. In week 2, I created a pixel art gift of a pirate sailing across the sea. This is the core component of my archival object, and everything else is built based on it. The colors I used were mainly dark shades of blue and purple. With the ratio of the sky and the sea being imbalanced, it creates a feeling of loneliness, which is also shown in the story where Ella goes out every day in hopes of finding other people because she's all alone on the island. In week 3, I drew a couple of fairies living inside a light bulb. This is the third thing Will encounters in the story. Instead of making the fairies kind and elegant like they normally appear in fictions, I decided to make them more mischievous by scaring Will, giving him the impression that the forest is filled with creepy, unpredictable creatures. In week 4, I created a storyboard of a family moving out of their first house. While the daughter was packing up things, she unlocked memories of the whole family spending time together. In the story, this house belonged to Ella's family, and this is the final destination where Will needed to be. He picked up Ella's drawing on the ground by chance and learned about her past. Then he looked at the old rundown house and experienced the same feeling Ella did. And this is why I think writing someone's story in another person's point of view is beautiful, because at this moment they're connected and they're sharing the same feeling, even though they're two different people. In week 5, I created another storyboard of an abandoned apartment becoming the natural habitat of animals. The way I incorporated this in the story is that when Ella woke up, everything was destroyed and she couldn't believe it. The storyboard is someone's drawing, proving that the change is real. This is the second last place Will visited, and is used to prove his doubt as well. By looking at the building, he started wondering if this wasn't the only place that was affected by magic. In response to this week's theme of time, I made a pixel art GIF of a magic, time-bending sunflower using a sprite. By drawing the life cycle of the sunflower and how it changes upon the hand approaching, I showed the old saying that distance is the soul of beauty in a more literal way. I wanted to show how the flower changes when its beauty is not respected by accelerating the time to the end of its life. Similar concept has been shown in the Greek myth, which is the story of Tantalus. Despite being the son of Zeus, Tantalus was indulged in the privilege and did not respect the gods. He provoked them at a feast and was forever punished by standing in the pool of water he couldn't drink and having fruits above him just close enough that he couldn't reach. The sunflower garden is the first place Will encounters in the story. It's there to remind him that this island is different than what he thinks. The reason why I placed the weekly objects in this order is because I want Will to learn about the magic island bit by bit, starting from the most acceptable one. The sunflower looks normal from a distance, so he will let his guard down and soon realize it's nothing like that. In response to the theme of characters and events, I made a pixel art mushroom house which belongs to Ella the pirate in my archival object using a sprite. By using mushrooms to make Ella's house, I was able to show how Ella the pirate adapts and survives in the world despite being the only person on the deserted island covered with mushrooms. Building the house has also shown Ella's adventurousness and her brave personality. By experimenting with different color schemes, it helped me set the overall tone of the archival object, which is a mysterious combination of orchid purple and sea green. Similar themes are present in J.R.R. Tolkien's work The Hobbit, in which the home of the hobbits are round and big, painted with the colors of yellow, brown, and green. Before I started this week's creation, I had the story of the pirate's quest in mind, so the mushroom house is specifically made for the character Ella the pirate. I wanted to show her resilience from the way she utilizes her surroundings and how she turns this place into her home, just like how Bilbo Baggins turns the bag in from a damp burrow into a cozy place. In response to the theme of forces, I made a series of pixel art sushi in 72 by 72 pixels using a sprite. By limiting the size of the drawing and set the rule of adding more things each time, I was able to show the variety of salmon sushi and the evolution from a basic sushi to a deluxe roll. Similar work has been produced by Ivan Dixon, whose website displays a series of bopping pixel characters. By showing a slight change in character movement, background, transition, speed, and so on, he was able to produce the same concept with his own style and humor. I didn't really think of a good way to fit the sushi in the archival object at first. However, I decided to make getting the sushi as the pirate's quest, which seems kinda ridiculous to Will, but I thought it would be fun. I also added the flame on both sides of the plate to represent the magic power that keeps the sushi fresh. Throughout the second half of the semester, I think I have been sticking with the theme of fantasy, fictional setting, and developed further on it, which I'm quite happy with because I've always wanted to create my own fantasy visual novel. I enjoyed creating all the objects from week 8 to 10 because I really like drawing plants and food, and I feel satisfied while creating these things. The sunflower has definitely been the most interesting one to make because I like the concept behind it. Some find beauty in creation and some finds it in destruction, and I would like to explore more on that. The ideas given each week has inspired me to draw and create more, and think about the meaning behind each object. When a character is no longer just dots and lines, but someone with personalities and emotions, it feels like a bigger achievement for me.